Yo, what's up? Welcome back to our channel at Coaching Changes Lives. So glad you can join us this week. Now, I'm going to be challenging all of us into the competency number 8, which is on facilitating clients' growth. Now, too often coaches have explored very in depth, touching to the heart, the core of the issue, but the next stage is so critical, which is weaving in the insights, weaving in those learnings into actioning. Big question for you and for me today. How do we do it? How do we actually effectuate the change? How do we help the client to go forward in this? Well, the first stage is to think about designs of action. How do we design that action? How do we begin to consider those design elements? How do we begin to think about designing? What are we designing for and who are we designing for? And those are critical elements. Well, this video is part of the series of videos that will help you enhance your ability to become a better coach. Now, I'm going to dive us through in this element what I call the element of partnering with clients to design new actions, goals, and even accountability measures to really help them to make their journey forward in a better and a more aligned manner than ever before, right? So we're not designing actions in a very linear form, which means it's a very systemic form. You do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. No, we're going to design actions that's based on their learnings, what they're learning about themselves, integrated to what is really driving them, what's really compelling them forward, so that their actions makes sense in their world. Now remember, there's a lot of tools, frameworks out there in the world that is useful, but a lot of times many coaches don't understand how to use those tools, and it ends up the tools become a white elephant, or it's just being imposed on the client, and the client just feels that, hey, why am I using this tool, right? Why do I have to follow this? It's not working for me. We want to find what works best for the client, and that's the beauty of coaching. So I'm going to share with you guys this one element known as design learning to facilitate clients' growth. Let me show you this. Now, we have heard some things called design thinking, design experience. I call this design learning. Design learning is a whole of a person approach to conversations that begins with the client's desired outcomes, with the integration of learnings through the co-creation process to effectuate goals, actions, and countermeasures that produces congruence and sustainable change. There are 3 key circles that come into play. The first one is what I call desirability. Now, that is where what makes most sense for the client, sense of resolve to act. The next element is feasibility, the degree of successful implementation and execution. And the third element is viability, what makes this forwarding most sustainable. These 3 elements, desirability, viability, and feasibility. The integration of these 3 elements is what I call the test of congruence. It's what is learned and what is being implemented and how it's being measured. Are these coming together? Is one just by itself, or are we having a sense of it coming together to cohere together? The sense of desirability, feasibility, and viability. So what do I mean by that? What do I mean by these 3 elements that must come together? In the approach of design learning, it's when the clients begin to learn things, getting insights, getting awareness of different elements in their life, in their world. We want to help them to straight away to find ways to relate those learnings and insights, because you don't want the insights and learnings just to stay that way. It's like, oh, that's a good learning, that's a good, wow, I want to write that down. I don't want it just to stay there on paper. I want that learnings to be integrated into the behavioral outcomes for the client. So the first stage is desirability. Does the client desire for change? Does the client want it? How strongly does the client want it? Does it make sense for the client? Is there a new resolve within the client to act? Resolve is so key, because the resolve to action enables clients' action to be effortless. Sometimes I call this the Wu Wei. Wu Wei in Chinese means effortless action, right? There's an unforced rhythms of grace that's coming in. So, for example, when we have a particular task at hand, and sometimes, we can go with very little sleep, and we are pushing through the particular assignment, the particular project, and there's such a surge of energy and do not know where it's coming from. Well, that energy is the unforced rhythms of grace, that effortless action. So desirability happens first, and that produces that effortless action. The next element is feasibility. So it's not to say that, okay, I want to fly to Mars, I want to be an astronaut. Now, is that feasible in this current juncture? So feasibility helps us to take the lens that, yes, I'm thinking, I'm innovating, I'm having a wide mindset, but I'm also being able to have a test of feasibility. How and what degree of successful implementation can this happen for me? At this current juncture, based on my resources, based on my skill sets, based on the threats and opportunities that are all around me, what is the feasibility of me executing this? So the test of feasibility is important so that we don't just be dreamers. We are able to be fighting dreamers. We're able to take those dreams and effectuate it. Third, viability. What makes it successful? What makes this survivable? So sometimes we may have a physical idea, we may have a feasible idea, we may have a desirable idea, but it might not be a viable idea because at this current juncture, it's not something that's sustainable. I might be able to do it for a short bout of time, but to sustain it over a period of time might not be possible. Think about this. If I'm doing a sprint, I can, right? But it's a once-off. I cannot sustain that high intensity for long periods of time. So I need to find a way to balance that out to create a sustainable approach for growth. Sometimes, in the Singlish words, what we call chonga, we want to chong towards, but we don't realize it's not sustainable. So find something that's sustainable for you and for me in the process that allows us to keep our eyes focused on the goals, to press on towards the goals and reach for the prize. So this is the sustainable design learning process. Right now, in your groups, I want you to discuss these three elements, and give examples and give ideas of how this come together, and share your thoughts in the comment section below. Pause this video right now and think about these thoughts and discuss with your teams. First, post your own individual ideas and thoughts in the comment section below, and then have your teams to kind of comment on your own comments just below in our YouTube channel, and have these robust discussions in your breakout rooms. Now we're going to use this as a way for us to kind of interact with you, and so that you can come back to this video again and again and look at others' comments and comment on their comments as well, keeping it as a space for learning and growth. Too often people think of activities just being very linear, but I want these activities to go on in perpetuity, right? So take a moment right now to pause this video. In the comment section below, post your thoughts, your individual thoughts on desirability, viability, and feasibility in your own understanding. And if you have examples, post them down in your own thoughts before having the discussions with your teams and coming together. And I'll see you there very soon.